Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a classic Hollywood war epic, In Harm's Way from 1965. This movie is one of those old-school Hollywood productions that packs a huge cast, big-budget naval battles, romance, tragedy, and some seriously fascinating behind-the-scenes stories that most people don't know about even if they're fans of the film. We're going to break down 20 hidden facts you probably didn't know about this movie. Buckle up, because this is one of the most layered films from the golden age of war cinema, and some of these facts are going to blow your mind. Let's get started. Fact number 1: the title comes from a real naval quote. One of the coolest hidden facts about In Harm's Way is that the title itself isn't just a catchy phrase, it's actually inspired by a real quote attributed to John Paul Jones, one of the most legendary figures in early U.S. naval history. "I wish to have no connection with any ship that does not sail fast, for I intend to go in harm's way." That's where the movie gets its name, and that idea of courage under fire is central to what the film's all about. Fact number 2: one of the last big Hollywood black and white films. By the mid-1960s, Hollywood had almost completely switched over to color filmmaking. But In Harm's Way was shot in black and white, and not just by accident. Director Otto Preminger intentionally chose black and white because he felt it gave the movie a documentary-like gravitas. Ironically, this also means it was one of John Wayne's final major black and white films, giving it a kind of old-school epic feel at a time when most films were moving past that look. Fact number 3: John Wayne was seriously ill during filming. Here's a fact that's pretty heartbreaking. John Wayne was actually suffering from lung cancer while the movie was being shot. He only found out right after filming wrapped, but by the end of production, he was coughing up blood, and soon after he underwent surgery to remove his entire left lung and several ribs. Despite that, he delivered one of the most stoic performances of his career. It's almost like his real-life struggle mirrors the tough resilience of his character, Captain Rockwell Torrey. Fact number 4: co-star Franket Tone also had lung cancer. In a strange and tragic twist, Wayne wasn't the only cast member quietly battling illness. Franket Tone, who appears in the film, was also suffering from lung cancer at the time. Unlike Wayne, Tone unfortunately didn't survive his illness, passing away just a few years later with only a handful of film roles after In Harm's Way. That adds a bittersweet layer to watching him on screen. Fact number 5: Kirk Douglas wasn't originally attached, but Wayne wanted him. Believe it or not, Kirk Douglas, who plays Commander Paul Eddington, wasn't always guaranteed to be in the film. According to some sources, John Wayne personally suggested Douglas for the role, which is kinda wild when you think about it, because the two men were very different personalities and didn't really run in the same social circles. But the pairing ended up being one of the most memorable duos in the film, and they later worked together again in other movies. Fact number 6: the story comes from a 1962 novel. The movie wasn't just dreamed up on a studio lot, its screenplay was adapted from a 1962 novel called Harm's Way by James Bassett. The book itself was a sprawling, detailed naval war story, and the filmmakers drew heavily from it, although like most adaptations, there are some changes in pacing and emphasis to suit the screen. Fact number 7: most real World War II ships no longer existed. Here's a little production challenge you might not know about. When they were shooting the naval battle scenes, very few actual World War II era ships were still in service. To overcome this, the Navy provided a mix of older cruisers and destroyers, some of which had to be modified with fake turrets and structures to resemble their wartime counterparts. So what you see on screen isn't always historically accurate, but it's surprisingly convincing for the era. Fact number 8: miniature ships were a big deal. Speaking of naval scenes, here's an incredible behind-the-scenes detail. Many of the big battle sequences were achieved using large-scale miniature models. These weren't tiny little toys either, they were so big that they were crewed by two-man teams inside the models, sailing them on water tanks to get the shots. It was a pretty ingenious way to recreate huge sea battles before CGI even existed. Fact number 9: composer Jerry Goldsmith makes a cameo. This is the kind of fun Easter egg that movie buffs adore. Renowned film composer Jerry Goldsmith, who wrote the score for In Harm's Way, actually appears in a tiny cameo early in the film. You can spot him as the pianist signaling the band to stop playing just before the Pearl Harbor attack sequence kicks off. It's a blink and you miss it moment. Fact number 10: actual naval officers and their spouses were extras. In one of the movie's biggest dance scenes, Many of the extras weren't actors at all, they were real active-duty military officers and their spouses stationed in Hawaii during filming. So when you see that big party scene, you're not just watching Hollywood, pretend you're watching real service members enjoying the moment before the chaos hits. Fact number 11, some 1940s costumes were actually 1960s fashion. A curious detail that most people never notice on the first watch is that some of the women's costumes and hairstyles look straight out of the 1960s, not the 1940s. That's because a lot of those extras were just wearing their own clothes or updated styles, and the production didn't always correct them, so in some shots, you're seeing mid-60s glamour instead of authentic World War II period fashion. Fact number 12, the film was nearly 3 hours long. In Harm's Way is a long movie, clocks in at around 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it was a pretty bold runtime for the mid-1960s. Otto Preminger was known for making films with depth and breadth, and he didn't shy away from letting this one breathe. That means you get big battle scenes, family drama, romance, moral ambiguity, and all sorts of subplots woven together. Fact number 13, it was nominated for an Oscar, but only one. Despite its epic scale, In Harm's Way only got one Academy Award nomination for Best Cinematography, Black and White. Loyal Griggs' rich, deep visuals were a huge part of what made the film feel so cinematic and powerful, and that nomination is a nice nod to how striking the movie looks on screen. Fact number 14, Saul Bass designed the end credits. Here's a neat bit of graphic design history. The film's credit sequence was designed by legendary title artist Saul Bass, and interestingly, it appears at the end of the movie rather than at the beginning. Back then, most Hollywood films opened with credit sequences, so this was a little unconventional and stylistically bold. Fact number 15, some aerial shots used real aircraft. While many of the naval scenes were models, some of the film's attack and overhead shots actually used real aircraft and practical pyrotechnics. During the Pearl Harbor sequence, there are shots where real planes and explosions were filmed, which really heightens the realism compared to later scenes that fall back on miniatures. Fact number 16, the USS St. Paul played a major role. When sea scenes roll by in the movie, there's a good chance you're watching footage from the USS St. Paul, a real U.S. Navy cruiser that played a central part in the film's production. The crew and cast even traveled aboard her for portions of filming, which helped lend a real sailor-at-sea feeling that studio backlots just couldn't match. Fact number 17, critics were mixed, but audiences loved it. At the time of release, critics were pretty divided on the movie, and it still has mixed reviews on sites like Rotten Tomatoes today. Many praised the performances and scope, while others felt the story was overly long or melodramatic. But audiences have always connected with the film's blend of action, emotion, and historical backdrop, and it's become a classic in the world of war cinema. Fact number 18, the story mixes romance with war realism. Unlike a lot of straight-up war films, In Harm's Way balances its battle sequences with romantic and emotional drama, especially between Captain Torrey and Patricia Neal's character, Maggie Haynes, and the father-son tension between Torrey and his kid. This blend of personal stakes and large-scale war action makes the film resonate with audiences on more than just one level. Fact number 19, some place names in the film aren't real. During the tactical planning scenes, you'll hear the characters talking about islands like Gavabutu, Levu Vanna, and Tokoroa. Those aren't real Pacific islands, they're fictional names or stand-ins based on real battle zones, which gave the film freedom to weave historical inspiration with its own narrative. Fact number 20, the film was shot with full Navy cooperation. Last, but definitely not least, In Harm's Way had the full cooperation of the U.S. Department of Defense, especially the Navy and Marines. That's why you see so many authentic ships, planes, uniforms, and real naval settings. This kind of support was a huge deal, and it's one of the reasons the movie feels so grounded even with its Hollywood spectacle. And that's our list, 20 hidden facts about In Harm's Way that you might have never heard before. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments which fact surprised you the most. Also tell me what classic movie you want me to explore next. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.